Chosen owns. God says you were ready. Tonight, message explains everything. God has guided you here to very this moment because he has something extraordinary to reveal to you tonight. You didn't open this video by accident. Let me say that again. You didn't stumble here. Right now, at this exact moment in your life, something inside you is tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. The kind of tired that comes from carrying weight that nobody around you can even see. The kind of tired that makes you lie awake at 2 a.m. wondering if any of this, the struggle, the waiting, the silence from heaven, actually means something. And tonight, I need you to hear this. It does. Every single bit of it does. Can I be honest with you for a second? You've been doing everything right. You've been praying. You've been patient. You've been kind to people who didn't deserve it. You've been holding yourself together in rooms where nobody even noticed how close you were to falling apart. And still, the breakthrough hasn't come. Still, the relationship didn't work out. The job fell through. The person you loved walked away. The doors you knocked on stayed closed. And the worst part isn't even the pain itself. The worst part is the quiet. That long, heavy silence that makes you wonder whether God forgot about you. Whether you were ever really chosen for anything. Whether the life you dreamed about was ever real, or just something you made up to survive. You've watched people around you. People who seem less faithful, less sincere, less aware, step into exactly the blessings you've been believing for. And you smiled for them. You clapped for them. But when you got home and closed the door, something inside you cracked just a little more. If any of that is you, stay right here, because tonight's message was assembled for your specific kind of pain. And I promise you, by the time we're done, you're going to understand something about your life that will completely change the way you see everything. You've been through. 1. The chosen path was never designed to be easy. It was designed to be transformational. Here's something nobody tells you when you first feel that pull in your spirit. That deep knowing that you're meant for something more. Nobody tells you that the path of a chosen person is not paved with constant confirmation. It's paved with questions. Every single person who was ever used powerfully, in scripture, in history, in your own family line, went through a period where nothing made sense. Joseph sat in a prison he didn't deserve. David hid in caves after being anointed king. Moses spent 40 years in a desert before the burning bush ever appeared. 40 years. God wasn't punishing them. God was preparing them. And here's what I need you to understand. Preparation and punishment can feel identical from the inside. The difference isn't what it feels like. The difference is what it produces. What is your waiting producing in you? Because if it's making you more compassionate, more grounded, more deeply rooted in who you are, that's not punishment. That's construction. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's your superpower in disguise. You feel things deeply. Maybe too deeply, you've been told. You pick up on energy in a room. You carry other people's pain sometimes without even meaning to. You cry at things that don't even touch other people. And somewhere along the way, someone made you feel like that was a flaw. It isn't. The most powerful people on this earth are not the ones with the thickest skin. They're the ones who feel everything and learned to channel it rather than be consumed by it. Your sensitivity is a radar system. It tells you things logic never could. It connects you to people in ways that logic never would. God didn't make you feel deeply by mistake. He made you feel deeply because the assignment He has for you requires someone who understands human pain from the inside. You can't lead people out of places you've never been willing to enter yourself. Your sensitivity is not the thing holding you back. It's the very thing that's going to make you irreplaceable. 3. The isolation you feel is actually a form of divine separation. There's a specific kind of loneliness that chosen people experience. It's not the loneliness of being unwanted. It's the loneliness of being different, of seeing the world at a frequency that the people around you simply don't operate on yet. And that can be excruciating, especially when you're surrounded by people who love you but still feel completely alone. Here's what I want you to consider. Eagles don't fly in flocks. They fly alone, higher than any other bird on the planet. Not because they're arrogant, because the altitude they're called to simply can't accommodate a crowd. The people who were supposed to go with you to the next level, some of them couldn't make the climb. That's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of your altitude. The loneliness you feel right now isn't rejection. It's repositioning. God is not pulling people away from you to hurt you. He's clearing the path so that the right people, the ones who are aligned with where you're actually going, can finally find you. 4. What feels like God's silence is actually God's deepest confidence in you. This is the one that changes everything for most people when they really sit with it. You've been praying and hearing nothing. No sign, no confirmation, no burning bush, and you've started to interpret that silence as absence, as if God checked your file, shook his head, and moved on to someone more qualified. But what if the silence isn't absence? What if the silence is trust? Think about it this way. When a surgeon is performing an operation, they don't stop every 5 minutes to explain every incision to the patient. They work. The patient is under, and they trust the process because they know the outcome. You are not abandoned on the operating table. You are under the care of the most skilled hands in existence. The silence isn't distance. The silence is focus. God is working something in you right now that requires concentration. And that process doesn't pause for constant reassurance. The fact that he hasn't explained himself doesn't mean he's forgotten you. It means he trusts you enough to keep going without the explanation. 5. The attacks on your life are actually proof of your threat level. Can I ask you something? Why would darkness spend so much energy on someone who doesn't matter? Think about everything that has tried to stop you. The betrayals, the breakdowns, the seasons where everything fell apart at once. The times you got close to something good and then watched it unravel. Have you ever noticed that the warfare in your life seems disproportionate to what you've actually done? That's not bad luck. That's a targeting system. You don't deploy artillery against something that poses no threat. The level of resistance you've experienced is a direct indicator of the magnitude of what God placed inside you. If you were nothing, you wouldn't be a target. If your destiny was small, it wouldn't require this much opposition to try to prevent it. Every time something tried to destroy you and failed, That's evidence. Evidence that you carry something so significant, so important, so needed in this world, that forces beyond what you can see have been trying to prevent you from walking into it. You're not cursed, you're contested. And contested things are always the things worth fighting for. 6. God is not just blessing your future. He is healing your foundation. A lot of people pray for the blessing, but God is far more interested in the person who's going to receive it. Because here's what happens when broken people receive great blessings. They can't hold them. The relationship falls apart. The money disappears. The platform crumbles. Not because the blessing wasn't real, but because the foundation that was meant to support it was never fully built. God loves you too much to give you something your current self would destroy. So before the promotion comes, He works on your pride. Before the relationship comes, He works on your wounds. Before the platform comes, He works on your character. That inner work, the therapy, the grief, the hard conversations with yourself in the dark, that's not a detour from your destiny. That is the work. That is exactly the work that makes everything else sustainable. Even the version of you that's being built right now. The world has never seen them yet. I want you to close your eyes for just a second after this paragraph and really feel this one. The person you are becoming through this fire, through this waiting, through this pruning, through this excruciating, beautiful, holy process, that person does not yet exist in the world. The world has not met them yet. The people who need them haven't encountered them yet. The lives that will be changed by them have no idea what's coming. And that person is you, just further along. Just on the other side of this. You are being built for a world that isn't ready for you yet. The timing isn't off. The timing is precise. You will emerge from this season and step into rooms that were always meant for you, carrying something inside you that only this exact journey could have produced. Nobody else could have walked your specific path and come out with what you're going to come out with. This is a custom assignment, and it requires a custom-built person. Stop performing for people who were never assigned to understand you. Here's one of the most exhausting things chosen people do, and it might be exactly what's draining you right now. You've been trying to explain yourself, to prove yourself, to make the people who doubted you see something in you that they spiritually don't have the capacity to see yet. You've been shrinking yourself for spaces that were always too small for you. You've been performing for audiences that were never your assignment. And it is wearing you out. You don't owe anyone an explanation for who you are or why God is taking you somewhere they can't follow. You don't need a committee vote on your vision. You don't need permission from people who are still standing where you used to be. Release the need for them to understand. Some people in your life are chapter characters, beautiful, meaningful, important for the season they were in, but they're not meant to read the whole book. Let them be who they are. Let them stay where they are, and love them from the altitude you're called to. Your validation doesn't come from them. It never did. It comes from the one who wrote the story. 9. Tonight is not random. You are being called forward right now. I said it at the beginning, and I'll say it again. You didn't find this video. This video found you. There is a moment in every chosen person's journey where heaven says, "Enough preparation. It's time to move." And that moment usually doesn't come with fireworks or a loud announcement. It comes quietly. It comes through a message you somehow stumble across at just the right time. It comes through a stillness in your spirit that suddenly shifts into something that feels like readiness. If you're feeling that right now, that strange mixture of fear and certainty, that trembling in your chest that feels like something is about to change, I need you to pay attention to it. That's not anxiety. That's activation. God doesn't call people forward and leave them unprepared. If you're being called, you're ready. Not perfectly ready. Not all your questions answered ready. But ready enough. And in God's economy, ready enough is all it takes for miracles to start moving. 10. The morning that's coming for you, it's already written. I want to close this section by speaking directly to the version of you that almost gave up tonight. The one who was exhausted before they even pressed play. The one who's been holding on by a single thread and praying that thread doesn't break. The one who's been so strong for so long that they've forgotten what it feels like to just rest in hope. Your morning is coming. Not as a cliché. Not as a feel-good phrase, as a promise, weeping may endure for a night. But joy, real, unshakable, rooted joy, comes in the morning. And your morning has already been written into the story. The ending of your current chapter is not the ending of your story. What looks like a closing door is actually a corridor. What looks like a death is actually a seed going into the ground. Seeds don't look like trees. Not yet. But the potential of the entire tree exists in the seed. Fully, completely, with absolute certainty, you are a seed in the ground right now. And your season of blooming is not a hope. It is a certainty. So here's where we land. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not too broken, too late, too much, or too far gone. You are not the exception to grace. You are not the one person God's plan doesn't extend to. You are chosen. You were chosen before you understood what that meant. You were chosen before the trials that tried to convince you otherwise. You were chosen before the people who left, before the doors that closed, before the nights that felt infinite. And tonight, God is saying something specific to you. He's saying, you're ready. Not ready to have it all figured out. Not ready to have no more struggles. Ready to step forward with the faith you've been building through every single hard moment you thought was just suffering. The suffering was school. And you've been studying. The waiting was weight training. And you've been growing stronger. The silence was sacred space. And you've been becoming. And now, right now, the invitation is to stop waiting for someone to tell you that you're worthy of the life God placed inside your heart. You already are. You were always meant to be here. You were always meant to survive what tried to stop you. And you were always meant to rise. Walk into tomorrow differently. Not because everything changed. Because you changed. Because you finally believe it. You are ready. God said so. And His word doesn't come back empty. If this message reached something inside you tonight, do me one favor. Not for me, but for yourself. Subscribe. Because this channel exists for exactly the person you are. And there are more messages like this one waiting for you. You didn't find this place by accident. Stay a little while. You belong here.